Snow stung my face as the door slammed behind me. The Christmas lights on my son's porch flickered cheerfully while my whole world went dark. "Just go, Dad," he'd said. "Don't make a scene." His wife stood beside him in her red dress, arms folded, eyes cold. A little laugh caught in her throat, like she'd been waiting for this moment. I stood there with my overnight bag in the freezing air on Christmas Eve. My own son had thrown me out. The porch light clicked off. For a few seconds, it was just me in the snow and the tight burning ache behind my eyes. Then, from the end of the street, someone appeared. A woman, no coat, hair soaked, barefoot in the snow. She walked straight toward my son's house like she belonged there. When she saw me, she stopped. Her lips trembled, and she whispered the last thing I ever expected to hear. "You must be Daniel's father. He doesn't know about me, but he will tonight." Before we continue, please subscribe to the channel and let us know where you are listening from in the comments. My name is George Whitfield. I'm 65 years old, and I've lived most of my life in Denver, Colorado. I thought the worst thing that could happen to a father was his son turning him away on Christmas Eve. I was wrong, because the barefoot woman who showed up that night didn't just bring the truth about my son. She brought a secret that shattered everything I thought I knew about my family. When you get old, people assume your life slows down. They don't tell you it mostly just gets quieter. Too quiet. My wife, Linda, died 3 winters ago. Stroke in the middle of the night. One of those clean, merciless exits no one sees coming. After that, the house felt like an abandoned museum. Her coffee mug in the cupboard, her cardigan on the back of the chair, her favorite Christmas ornaments in a box I couldn't bring myself to open. The only thing that kept me going was my son, Daniel. Daniel was our miracle baby. We tried for years before he arrived, all red-faced and furious at the world. Linda used to say he came out stubborn and never grew out of it. He grew into a bright, ambitious man, started his own tech company, married a sharp, polished woman named Victoria, who could charm any room she walked into. I never fully warmed to her, but I told myself that was normal. No woman is good enough for your boy when you've watched him lie in a hospital crib fighting pneumonia at age 3. After Linda died, I clung to the idea that Christmas Eve at Daniel's house would be our new tradition. The first year, it was quiet but warm. He burned the turkey, we laughed, Victoria smiled politely, and I went home with leftovers and a sore heart. The second year, things were different. More strained, less laughter, more glances between Daniel and Victoria when I asked simple questions like, "How's work?" or "Everything okay?" Sometimes conversations just stopped when I entered the room. I told myself I was imagining it. Grief makes you paranoid. This year, the 3rd Christmas without Linda, Daniel called me the week before. "Dad, just letting you know," he said, "we're doing Christmas Eve again, 7 o'clock. Dress nice, okay? Vic wants to take pictures." I smiled into the receiver. "Wouldn't miss it, son." It took me hours to get ready that night. I polished my old shoes, shaved carefully, even put on the tie Linda always said made my eyes look less tired. I took a taxi because Daniel insisted. "Parking's a mess around here, Dad. Just let me pay for the ride." I figured it was his way of caring. When I arrived, his house looked like a magazine spread. Warm lights, wreath on the door, the faint sound of Christmas music through the glass. I knocked. Victoria opened the door in a red dress and a smile that didn't reach her eyes. "George," she said, like she'd just remembered my existence. "Come in." The warmth hit me first, the blast of heated air, the smell of cinnamon and roasted meat. Then the people. I expected a small dinner. Instead, the house was full. Music, laughter, clinking glasses. People I didn't know holding drinks and wearing glittering outfits. I stepped inside, feeling suddenly underdressed. Daniel appeared from the kitchen, tie loosened, cheeks flushed. "Dad," he said, hugging me awkwardly. "You made it." I smiled. "Of course I made it. You didn't tell me. It was a party." He glanced at Victoria. "Oh yeah, Vic invited some people from work. Hope that's okay." It wasn't, but I forced a smile. "Sure, the more the merrier." He clapped my shoulder and disappeared back into the crowd. Nobody else talked to me. I wandered around, nursing a small glass of punch, watching my son move among his guests like a man auditioning for a better life. Every time I tried to corner him for a real conversation, someone else pulled him away. "Danny, can you check the wine?" Daniel, we need you for a toast. Babe, come meet this investor. The one person who didn't seem busy was Victoria. She watched me from afar sometimes, like she was measuring me for a box I didn't know existed. After an hour, I found a quiet corner near the hallway. I was tired, overwhelmed, and more than a little invisible. That's when I heard them. Daniel and Victoria. In the kitchen, voices low but heated. "He's just sitting there," Victoria hissed. "People are asking who he is." "He's my father," Daniel said. "Exactly," she replied. "That's the problem. You're trying to secure a deal tonight, and he's hovering like some sad ghost." "I can't just throw him out," he said, but his voice lacked conviction. "Watch me," she spat. For a few seconds, all I could do was stare at her. The wind whipped Hannah's hair across her face, but she didn't flinch. Her eyes never left mine. "Husband, my son." I swallowed hard. "That's not possible," I said quietly. "Daniel is married to Victoria. They were just inside, hosting a party." Hannah's lips trembled. "I know," she whispered. "I met her." The world lurched. "You met her?" She nodded. "I came earlier, through the back alley. I wanted to talk to Daniel alone, but she found me first." Hannah shivered violently. Her bare feet were sinking deeper into the snow. "Come on," I said. "Let's get you out of the cold." I guided her toward the edge of the property, away from the front windows. There was a small bench beneath an old pine tree. We sat there, half hidden in shadow. Up close, the bruise on her cheek was worse. Fresher. Her lower lip was split. "Who did this to you?" I asked, though part of me already knew. Her eyes filled. "Please don't be angry," she said. "I didn't know Daniel was with someone else. He told me his marriage was over, that he stayed with her for business, for appearances." I closed my eyes briefly. My son, who I'd once carried on my shoulders through Christmas light shows, had grown into a man who lied like this, to women who looked like they had nowhere else to go. "How long?" I asked. 2 years, she whispered. My heart tripled its weight. 2 years? She nodded. "I met him at a shelter downtown. I was volunteering in the kitchen. He donated some tablets to the kids there, said he wanted to give back." She let out a shaky laugh with no humor in it. "He said I was kind, said I deserved better, said he could help." I clenched my jaw. "Help how?" "He offered me a small apartment," she said. "Separate from all this. Said I could go back to school. He paid my tuition, helped me with paperwork." Her eyes dropped to her hands. "I fell in love with him," she admitted, "or with the version he showed me." I thought back to Linda, how she used to say Daniel wanted to save everyone. Maybe somewhere along the way, that instinct had curdled into something else. "Where's your family?" I asked gently. Hannah's shoulders stiffened. "Gone," she said. "Not dead, just done with me. They didn't like the man I was with before. He hurt me. I kept going back. Eventually they said they couldn't watch anymore." She touched the bruise on her cheek. "I thought Daniel was different." The ache in my chest deepened. "What happened tonight?" I asked. She inhaled sharply, trying to steady her voice. "He came to the apartment yesterday," she said. "Said he needed me to stay quiet for a while, that some investors were in town and his wife needed to play the good partner." My hands curled into fists. "He promised we'd talk after Christmas," she continued. "Promised. He'd file the paperwork. I told him I couldn't live like this. Hidden. Secret." She looked at the snow. "He slapped me," she whispered. 3 times. Said I was being ungrateful. Said he could send me back where he found me if I made trouble." My vision blurred with rage. "And tonight?" I asked. "I couldn't sleep," she said. "I kept hearing his voice, so I took the bus here. I wanted to see for myself." She swallowed. "I went around the back. Victoria caught me near the kitchen door. She knew." "Knew what?" I asked. "Everything," Hannah said. "She told me I was a little project that got out of control. Said Daniel gets too attached to broken things." My stomach turned. "She told me if I cared about him," Hannah continued, "I'd disappear, leave town, not ruin his chance at a big deal tonight." Hannah's eyes met mine. "I told her I wasn't leaving without seeing him." "And then?" I asked. "She slapped me too," Hannah whispered, "right across the face. Said, 'Now you match.'" My breath caught. She said if I came near the front door, Hannah added, they'd call the police and say I was unstable, that I'd been stalking them. She took my shoes, threw them in the trash, pushed me into the snow, and locked the back gate. I looked at her bare, reddened feet. You walked here like that? I asked. She nodded. I was leaving, she said. I was done. I thought he'd made his choice. Then I saw you standing here, and Her voice broke. I recognized you from the photo. I frowned. What photo? She pulled something from her coat pocket, a small, worn picture, edges creased. It was me, Linda, and Daniel. Christmas, 20 years earlier, all of us smiling in front of a lopsided tree. Daniel kept it on the nightstand, she said softly. He told me his father was old-fashioned but decent. He said if anything ever happened to him, I should find you. My chest tightened so hard it hurt to breathe. That's why I came, she whispered. He might hate me now, but I think somewhere inside, he didn't want to be this man forever. I looked toward the house. Through the curtains I could see silhouettes moving, glasses clinking, people laughing. My son, who had 2 wives and everything but paperwork, who hit one and scorned the other's existence. I stood slowly. Come with me, I said. Hannah's eyes widened. Where? I met her gaze. To the front door. She shrank back. They'll call the police, she whispered. They'll twist everything. They have money. I don't. I took off my coat and wrapped it around her shoulders. Then we make a scene, I said quietly. The kind even rich people can't ignore. I picked up her cold hand. For years, I've stayed quiet, I admitted. I saw things about my son I didn't want to see. Excuses are easy when you love someone. I looked up at the house. But tonight is Christmas Eve, I said, and my wife isn't here to talk me down from my temper. Hannah's lips trembled. What if this makes it worse? She asked. I squeezed her hand gently. It already is worse, I said. This is where we start making it better. We walked back up the path together. The snow crunched beneath her bare feet. At the door, I didn't bother knocking. I rang the bell and kept my finger there until the music inside stopped. The door swung open. Victoria stood in the doorway, eyes blazing. Behind her, Daniel hovered, face flushed with annoyance and just a hint of guilt. What are you doing back here? Victoria snapped. I thought we... Then she saw Hannah, her smile turned razor sharp. You just don't know when to quit, she hissed. Guests began drifting toward the entryway, curiosity drawing them like moths. What's going on? Someone whispered. Who are they? Another asked. Daniel stepped forward, panic flickering in his eyes. Dad, let's talk about this later. No, I said quietly. My voice cut through the room like broken glass. We're talking about it now. The entryway filled with faces, investors, co-workers, neighbors in sparkling dresses. They formed a semicircle behind Victoria, watching the scene unfold like it was some holiday performance. Hannah shrank beside me, pulling my coat tighter around her. I stepped fully into the doorway, blocking Daniel from closing it again. Everyone, Victoria said quickly, plastering on a brittle smile, there's nothing to see here, just a misunderstanding. Then you won't mind if I speak, I said. Her eyes flashed. George, she hissed under her breath, don't do this. You'll humiliate yourself. I looked at my son. Am I humiliating myself, Daniel? I asked softly. Or finally you? He flinched. Dad, please, not tonight. Tonight, I said, is exactly the right time. I turned slightly so everyone could see Hannah. This young woman, I said, walked here barefoot in the snow with a bruise on her face and nowhere else to go. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. She claims, I continued, that my son is her husband too, that he offered her an apartment, an education, a new life, while staying married to Victoria. I let the words hang there. Victoria laughed, sharp and brittle. Oh, come on, she scoffed. Look at her. She's clearly unstable, probably obsessed. Daniel is being harassed, and you're all falling for it. Hannah flinched like she'd been slapped again. She's not lying, I said. How would you know? Victoria snapped. Because Daniel already told her who I am, I replied. He told her to find me if anything happened to him. Daniel blanched. A few of the investors exchanged uneasy glances. Victoria tightened her jaw. This is ridiculous, she said. Daniel, tell them the truth. Daniel looked from me to Hannah to the guests. His mouth opened, then closed. Sweat beaded on his forehead. "Daniel," I said quietly, "just answer one question." He swallowed. "What?" I looked him dead in the eye. "Did you hit her?" The room went silent. Hannah's breath hitched. Victoria's smile froze. Daniel's gaze flickered to the bruise on Hannah's cheek. His voice came out small, too small for a man trying to own a room. "I lost my temper," he muttered. "It happens. People fight. She's exaggerating." Several faces in the crowd hardened. One woman near the back crossed her arms. "People fight," I repeated. "But do they take someone's shoes and throw them in the trash so they have to walk home barefoot in the snow?" Gasps, whispers. Hannah's eyes welled. Victoria snapped. "Oh, for God's sake," she spat. She wanted drama. I gave her something to cry about. She's been clinging to Daniel for months, trying to guilt him into leaving me. "So, you hit her?" I pressed. Victoria's lips tightened. "I disciplined a problem," she said. "You people are so sensitive." The temperature in the room dropped even as the heater hummed. One of the older investors, a gray-haired man in an expensive suit, stepped forward. "Daniel," he said slowly, "is this true?" Daniel's eyes darted around, searching for support and finding none. Victoria's nails dug into his arm. "Say something," she hissed. He swallowed. "I made mistakes," he said, "but this is my personal life. It shouldn't affect—" "It already has," the investor interrupted. "If you're capable of this at home, you're capable of anything in business. Trust is everything, son." He turned to Victoria. "And you?" he said coldly. "You think assault is discipline? You both just saved me a lot of money." He turned to the others. "I'm out," he announced. "Anyone with sense should be too." The murmurs grew into full conversations. Several people nodded. A few walked toward the door, pulling on coats, avoiding Daniel's eyes. Victoria's face twisted with panic. "Wait!" she cried. "This is being blown out of proportion." I stepped aside, letting the guests stream past me. Some avoided Hannah's gaze. A few squeezed her shoulder gently as they passed. Daniel watched his carefully built Lio walk out the front door, one coat at a time. "Dad," he whispered, "please, fix this." I looked at him, feeling something inside me settle. "I can't fix what you chose," I said quietly. "Only you can decide whether this is who you stay." He looked at Hannah. "You were never supposed to come here," he muttered. She flinched. "And I was never supposed to be a secret," she replied. Victoria let out a bitter laugh. "You ruined everything," she snapped at Hannah. "No," I said. "She just exposed what was already broken." Daniel took a step toward me. "Where are you going?" he asked. "Home," I said. He scoffed. "You came here with a bag, remember? Planning to sleep in the guest room like some charity case." Rage flashed hot, but then faded as quickly as it came, because the man standing in front of me wasn't the boy I raised. He was a man who had chosen convenience over conscience. "You're right," I said. "I did come here hoping to stay. Now I'm leaving with someone who actually needs a place." I turned to Hannah. "Would you like to come with me?" I asked gently. "Just for tonight. We can call a shelter, a lawyer, someone who knows what to do next. You won't be alone." Her lip trembled. "You'd really—" "Yes," I said. "I should have been there for you sooner, even if I didn't know you existed." She nodded slowly. "I'd like that," she whispered. Victoria scoffed. "You can't just steal her," she said. "She's not a stray cat, George." "No," I replied. "She's a woman you helped hurt. I'm just doing what my wife would have done if she were still alive." I guided Hannah toward the door. "Dad," Daniel said urgently, voice cracking for the first time. "Don't leave like this. Please." I looked back at him. "You threw me out on Christmas Eve," I said softly. "You laughed when you did it. This time, I'm walking away on my own." Then I closed the door behind us. The cold was sharp, but somehow it felt cleaner. Hannah clutched my coat tighter. I dialed a taxi and then a number from a business card I'd been carrying since Linda died. A women's shelter she used to donate to. A calm voice answered. I explained everything. They told us to come in that night. When the taxi arrived, Hannah slid in first. I took one last look at my son's house. Perfect lights, perfect wreath, perfect illusion. Then I got in the car and didn't look back. The shelter lobby was warm and bright, not fancy, just clean and safe. A tree stood in the corner, decorated with mismatched ornaments and paper snowflakes cut by small hands. The woman at the front desk, Marisol, her badge red, gave Hannah a soft blanket and a pair of thick socks as soon as we walked in. "You're safe now," she said gently. Hannah's shoulders sagged with relief. I filled out some paperwork while she sipped hot chocolate like she wasn't sure if it was real. Marisol looked at me over the forms. "You're her?" she asked. "Friend," I said. "Tonight, maybe more later. We'll see what she needs." She studied me for a moment, probably used to men walking in who were part of the problem, not the solution. Then she smiled. "Good," she said. "She needs someone steady." A counselor took Hannah to a private room to talk, to document, to plan next steps. I waited in the lobby, surrounded by paper snowflakes and quiet courage. My phone buzzed. 10 missed calls from Daniel, 3 voicemails, 2 texts. "Dad, please answer. I messed up. We need to talk." For the first time in my life, I didn't rush to pick up. An hour later, Hannah came back to the lobby. Her eyes were still red, but there was something new in them. Resolve. "They're helping me file for a protection order," she said. "And they know a legal aid group that handles cases like this." "That's good," I said softly. She sat beside me. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "About your son. I didn't mean to ruin your Christmas." I shook my head. "You didn't ruin anything," I said. "You showed me what was really happening. That's a gift. A painful one, but a gift all the same." She smiled weakly. "Where will you go now?" she asked. "Home," I said. "Got an old house full of memories and more empty rooms than I know what to do with." I hesitated. "It has a guest room," I added, "and a lock on the door that only you would have the key to if you wanted to stay a while." Her eyes widened. "I couldn't impose." "You wouldn't be," I replied. "I spent years wishing I had a daughter. Maybe this is the universe's strange way of keeping me from spending Christmas alone." Tears welled in her eyes again. But this time, they weren't just from pain. The shelter approved it as a temporary arrangement under their supervision. They took my ID, copied my address, made sure Hannah had a direct line to them in case anything went wrong. Nothing did. That night, we sat at my old kitchen table eating reheated soup and stale gingerbread cookies I'd bought on discount. It was the strangest Christmas Eve I'd ever had, and somehow the most honest. We didn't talk much, just existed in the same quiet space without pretending everything was fine. The next morning, I woke to the smell of coffee. Hannah stood at the stove, wearing one of Linda's old cardigans and a pair of my thick socks. "I hope it's okay," she said. "The counselor said routine helps." I smiled. "It's more than okay." We spent the day talking to lawyers, filling out forms, blocking numbers. Daniel showed up outside my house once, banging on the door, demanding to be heard. I opened the door just long enough to say one thing. "Come back when you're ready to tell the truth to a judge, not just your father." Then I closed it. He didn't knock again. 3 months later, the court granted Hannah a restraining order and recognized her marriage to Daniel as valid under state law, which meant she was entitled to support. Victoria filed for divorce once the investors pulled out, and the gossip reached her social circles. She tried to blame everyone but herself. It didn't work. Daniel's company never fully recovered. Reputation is hard to rebuild after people see who you really are behind closed doors. I visit him sometimes, not to rescue him, I'm done doing that, but to remind him that while I will always be his father, I won't always shield him from the consequences he chose. Hannah, on the other hand, has been rebuilding in a different way. She finished her classes, got a job at the shelter that helped her. Now she's the one handing blankets to women who arrive barefoot and bruised. Last week, she brought home a small, crooked Christmas ornament made by one of the kids at the shelter. "Thought your tree looked lonely," she said. We hung it together next to an old photo of Linda and Daniel. Sometimes at night, grief still hits like a wave, for the wife I lost, for the son I thought I had. But then I'll hear Hannah humming in the kitchen or see the porch light on when I come home from the store. And I realize something. On the Christmas Eve my son threw me out and his wife laughed. I didn't lose my family. I started finding a new one in the unlikeliest person, a barefoot woman in the snow who needed a safe place. Anne gave me one too.